Of all the different kinds of roles in the game, such as buffers, groupers, off-field electro damage dealers, off-field hydro damage dealers, there is no role in the game that has as many characters in it as on-field pyro DPS units. DLuke, Bennett, Klee, Hu Tao, Jin Yan, Dia, Janfei, Xiaoya, our brand newest addition, Lenny. Oh, and don't forget about Amber. That is so many to choose from, and most accounts find more than one totally and completely redundant. So this begs the question, which one is best? And more importantly, which one is best for you? Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. With a total of 10 on-field pyro DPS units, not even including off-field ones, it is extremely daunting to decide which one is right for you. So I'm going to go through every single one and talk about why they may or may not be right for you to build, as well as give my verdict on which one I think is the strongest, and I will rank them at the end. Finally, at the very end, I will talk about our off-field pyro DPSs as well. So without further ado, let's talk about the character that we all get when we start the game, Amber. Amber can be used both in an on-field and off-field way, and I would strongly recommend using her not as an on-fielder, but as an off-fielder. The only time you use Amber as an on-field user, as an on-field charge attack bow DPS, is if you really love Amber and you want to see her hit big funny numbers. If you do, you're going to want to give her the very best bow you can, such as an Amos bow or a different 5-star weapon. Her best is probably Aqua Simulacra or maybe Lenny's new bow. Probably Lenny's actually, now that I think about it. But again, her numbers and scaling are not that great, so the only time you'd use her is if you really love her, but I have seen some really funny clears online, so you can definitely go check those out if you want to. Next is Bennett. A lot of people don't actually know that Bennett can be a really solid on-field pyro DPS, but he can. In fact, he actually stacks up pretty well next to some characters like DLuke, with on-field Bennett actually doing superior damage when used properly. You're usually going to want to use him with double Hydro and Kazuha, and weirdly enough, you're going to use him on the Thundering Fury set as long as you're not past C6, because this allows him to spam his skill really often and get a lot of vaporizes with his skill. You don't have to use that set, you can use a different one like Crimson Witch. I'll be releasing a full Bennett guide later on this patch, but it's actually really funny and something that you can do, and it works a lot better than a lot of characters on this list actually. But of course, this is not the optimal way to play Bennett. The buff that he gives to a really good on-field character is too good to pass up, and if you do build him for damage, he actually does good sub DPS damage with his burst. So unless you really love Bennett, this is not usually the best way to play him, but it's still a funny option. Next is Klee. Klee is best used in a mono pyro team. You can check out my Klee guide for the full breakdown, but she might be best for you if none of your other characters are currently using Bennett or Kazuha or Sangling, and you really want a good AoE DPS, and for some reason you don't really like Child. Sadly, there's really no situation where Klee is going to be the optimal pull for an account, but if you like her, she is cute and she is strong, and even her single target is good, but she is definitely one of those characters that you can build and she will perform well if you like her, but she's not worth it to get if you don't. The next character to be released was Hu Tao, and despite what you may have heard from elsewhere, Hu Tao has not fallen off. She is extremely strong, stronger than ever, as she keeps winning with different new updates, with her strongest single target team being double Hydro plus Fischl actually, and you get both Vaporize and Overloaded. It's actually an extremely strong team, and you can even run it without a shielder or healer because of Xingqiu's damage reduction and Hu Tao's self-healing. I really love Hu Tao, and this is actually one of my favorite teams in the game, and I think it is extremely strong. If you want to build a really strong single target team, Hu Tao is a fantastic option. At high investment, it can even outpace the infamous Hyper Bloom, even at C0 with 4-star weapons, which is really darn impressive. Jin Yan is the next character on this list. You use her similarly to Klee in a mono pyro team. You can use her physical or as a burst DPS, but this list is about her on-field pyro DPS potential. If you love Jin Yan, this is actually a solid team and performs well in AoE content. Not nearly as well as Klee, but she performs well enough that if you really like Jin Yan, you can make it work, but not someone I would build for meta reasons, again, only if you like. Xiaoya is one of my favorably designed characters in the entire game. I absolutely love her aesthetic, and it pains me to say that in the Abyss, Abyss, she is virtually always outclassed by Hu Tao. There are only very specific circumstances and different types of enemies where Yoimiya can compete, but she is still to this day my favorite character for the overworld. I never don't use her in the overworld. She has amazing synergy with Yelan and Kazuha, and I personally run her with Bennett, so she is a forever unit on my overworld team, and I would not trade her for anything. Unfortunately, although I can use her in the Abyss, I even 36 starred this particular Abyss, even though it's AoE heavy, even though it's not kind to her in particular, I still was able to clear it, but I don't recommend it. It's not my favorite. I always recommend Hu Tao over Yoimiya for meta reasons, and I just wouldn't recommend her at all for a strong pull, but she is an extremely good pull for the overworld, in my opinion, especially if you like her. Janfei is actually a really solid choice as your on-fielder as well, especially with high constellations. She has a good mix of on-field damage as well as defensive utility through her shield from her C4 for herself. She lands in a very similar spot to Yoimiya, so she is once again not a character that you build for the strength of your account, but a really solid choice if you like her. Hoyoverse was 2 for 2 with 5-star pyro units for Sumeru and Inazuma in terms of disappointing power level. Although Dia's mono pyro team is by far the easiest and comfiest to play, its damage does not compare to the likes of Klee or of the new character Lenny, but similar to Jin Yan, it is serviceable, and she has the advantage of being really comfy with unlimited stagger resistance and team damage reduction for the rest of your team members while you're setting up. So if you want to make Dia Mono Pyro work, you definitely can. Mono Pyro, by the way, being the core of Sungling, Bennett, and Kazuha. So if you got her from the standard banner and you don't currently have anyone else using those units, Dia can be a solid choice, but definitely, again, outclassed by units such as Child and the others I've mentioned. Finally, our newest addition, Lenny. Now, I've been playing Lenny for quite a lot of hours, and I've got to say, he is extremely fun and a lot stronger than I thought. He has a massive advantage over the likes of Klee for that mono pyro team in the fact that he has a really powerful nuke with his skill and burst, in addition to having good normal and charge attack. To get optimal damage with him, he is actually a little bit challenging to play and master. He's definitely not a character that you can just unga bunga with. He has lots of complex setups and complex rotations that you can do, and you can use tricky setups and get nice payoffs by abusing enemy attack patterns, invulnerability phases, and adjusting your rotation accordingly. It's not something that I have even come close to mastering, but I do kind of appreciate how he is like a magician trickster type, and he has all these tricks in combat that he can do that you can master and get to his ceiling. So speaking of his ceiling, I bet everyone's wondering how I would rank all these characters. So let's go through them now, and then we'll talk about the off-fielders. So S is going to be worth pulling specifically just for this character to make the ceiling of your account higher. A is they have a very strong niche and could be worth going for power, but not necessarily for all accounts. B is they're solid if you like them, but they're generally outclassed. C is they're cope, but still good if you like them. And D, they're really hard to make work. Did I forget to talk about DLuke? I think I did. Well, sorry DLuke mains. If you lost your 50-50 to DLuke, he is in actually a very similar place to Dia, in that he's, again, never the best option, but he can be alright if you really like him. The only really big difference is that he's used in a different set of teams. He's going to be best used to vaporize his hits with Sing Cho, whereas Dia is used in that mono pyro core. So if you're on the fence of going between DLuke and Dia, it really just depends on which supports are more valuable for that team and which are more valuable for the others. But both of them share the trait of being decent, but not good units to build if you're just concerned with account strength. So we're gonna put him in the C tier. Amber, we're gonna put in the D tier. Again, it's not that she can't ever clear the Abyss, it's just gonna be much harder to make work. Klee is going to go in the B tier. She's really strong, but just easily outclassed. Yoimiya also in the B tier. For Janfei, as I said earlier, she's very similar to Yoimiya, so I'm going to put her up in the B tier. Lenny, although I do think he is noticeably power than these other three, in terms of power specifically, I would actually put him in the A tier. But this is not a power tier list. This is more of a should you build them for your account strength. And I would actually put Lenny in the B tier as well, just because the role that he fills is better filled by characters like Child. So he's not really ever worth wishing for just for power, but in terms of, his personal team damage, he would go a tier above these ones, in my opinion. We're going to put Dia in the C tier. Again, you can build her, but not advised for power. Jin Yan in that same tier as well. And finally, Hu Tao, I'm going to put in the A tier. She has a very strong niche. If you need a strong single target team, she is really, really great. And you'll notice at this point that I didn't put anyone in the S tier. And there is a very good reason for that. I can't take it anymore. I'm sick of Xiangling. I try to play DLuke. My Xiangling deals more damage. I try to play Yoimiya. My Xiangling deals more damage. I want to play Klee. Her best team has Xiangling. Never find a fishing spot. Can you never find a fishing spot? I fish for her. I cook for her. I want to play Raiden. I want to play Child. They both want Xiangling. She grabs me by the throat. I give her the catch. She isn't satisfied. I pull for engulfing lightning. I don't need this much ER, she tells me. Give me more field time. She grabs Bennett. You just need to funnel me more. I can deal more damage with Homa. I can't pull for Homa. I don't have enough Primo Gem. She grabs my credit card. It declines. Guess this is the end. She grabs Guoba. She says, Guoba, get them! There's no hint of sadness in his eyes. Nothing but pure, no ECD pyro application. What a cruel world.
Today's recommendation is the steak.
In all seriousness, you get Xiangling for free from beating the Spiral Abyss in one of the pretty early floors. She has so much power application and she can do it all off field, and coupled with the fact that she only needs Bennett to actually function, who you can also get for free from the Starglider shop, you actually have no need for any 5-star or 4-star on-field pyro DPS, because frankly, Xiangling deals just as much damage, if not more, from off-field. Whether it's breaking elemental shields or any other type of pyro damage that you may need, Xiangling has you covered and she's for free. And that's why no one on this list actually makes it up into the S tier, although I would say that Hu Tao does come pretty close, because if you really invest highly into her, she does a ton of single target damage, but it's still so unnecessary compared to Xiangling. And I also will say that they do have slightly different strengths. Xiangling's best in AoE circumstances, whereas Hu Tao outperforms her in strictly single target, but it does require significant investment to do so. Let me know what you think. Let me know who your favorite power DPSs are, or who you're saving for. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. We are just about to hit 10,000 subscribers, which is unbelievable. I would really appreciate your support. If you do want to support the channel, we just went full time and I'm supporting the family just with this YouTube. If you want to check out my Patreon, you're more than welcome to. If you want to join a great group and community of Genshin Impact fans, please consider joining the Discord. And if you don't want to do any of that, that is totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.